Greetings and welcome to Office Hours with Dr. G. I'm Dr. G, and I am glad that you checked in today. Tonight's guest is David Holley. David Holley, aka Brooklyn Indigo, is an entrepreneur born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. He is a film director, actor, and motivational speaker. A creative being and truth seeker, David likes connecting with like-minded beings who are the change they would like to see in this world. Probably why we connected. His mission is inspiring people through his personal experiences to be the greatest version of themselves that they can be. I want you all to help me welcome to Office Hours with Dr. G, David Holley, aka Brooklyn Indigo. Welcome to Office Hours. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Islam, I appreciate being here. Thank you so much.
Well, listen, your bio was kind of short. So I told you what has to happen at this point. When you when the music is playing, you got to rock with the music. So we're going
Hey,
you're the first one to really get into the groove with this Dr. G groove. Come on. See, that lets you know
listen,
what kind of person.
you can't be tight. Let's flow.
Listen, I want to thank you for coming on the show, and I know we're going to have a good time talking about manifesting your reality in a world full of illusion. And tonight, hopefully, when we dialogue, those that are listening will be able to, get involved and we'll see how, in spite of what's going on, in the world today, they can create their own world. And I think you have, as we've spent probably a few hours now, dialoguing with one another on various and sundry topics. I got to know you a bit, and I know you are, you have a gentle soul, but you are creative and you are inspirational and so forth. And I love the fact that you are in the arts. You are an entrepreneur. You direct, film director. You are yourself an actor. You've gone to acting school because you told me. We'll talk about how you got to that point. And what else do? You are a motivational speaker. And I think our conversations have been very motivational. And that's why I invited you on the show, because I wanted people to kind of get a feel for the same feeling I got when you and I talked. So tell me and tell us a little bit about who David Holley is and how you took on the name or the attributes of Brooklyn Indigo.
I would absolutely love to. I just want to say peace and love to all the family that's tapping in with us. Very grateful that you're here rocking out with us. And if you're led to be here, this is definitely for you. So Islam to everybody. I'm from East New York, Brooklyn. I'm 41 years old. I grew up in the 80s and the 90s, which is a total different Brooklyn than what anybody sees today. All right. It's like Disney World today, but back in the days, it was something totally different. And it was a very dangerous era, but it was also a fun era for a child as well. But there was a lot of things that I would see in the streets and in the neighborhood that didn't necessarily resonate with my spirit. But you also are walking a thin line because you don't want to be looked at as an outsider. You don't want to be looked at as somebody that's different, even though you're supposed to be different. But growing up, you don't know that it's okay and that you're a one of one and that you should be exactly who it is that you are. So there was a lot of trying to find my way, and I stuck out like a sore thumb. I really did. And I struggled. I struggled with that. A lot of the things that I was into, certain people wasn't into. I remember back in the days they used to show the Nutcracker around the holiday time on Channel 13. And I remember going in the house and watching it, but lying to my friends and telling them I was going inside for something else because I didn't want to be laughed at out the neighborhood for, being into theater early and, the Nutcracker and things of that nature. So even at a very early start, spirit was leading me toward certain things that I resonated with as far as being creative and being your true authentic self, even though I didn't necessarily understand what it meant. Um, Teenage years totally spent trying to find myself. I'm very grateful for sports and music because that was my go-to. Um, very unsure of myself as a teenager, trying to balance the things that I liked versus what was accepted in my neighborhood of East New York, Brooklyn. So felt very different, but also knew that I would be able to find my way eventually as long as I kept being true to myself. I had to learn how to be true to myself though. So there was many years of trial and error and falling and getting back up. Um, Very early on at 22, I had my daughter, and I want to say that that was the best decision that I ever made because it was the first opportunity that I had as a young male without a constant father figure show me what the definition of love was and wanting to be better and do better and set the right example the best way that I could, at the time. There's no blueprint. But with that being said, it eventually led me to understanding, hey, there's only one David Holley out here in this world. And the people that should be and are going to be led to you are going to be led to you because you're simply you, not trying to fit into somebody else's box, not trying to be co-signed by anybody, but you basically leading your life in your individual way. And I've taken those things with me in life, and they've really helped me grow from a younger teenager who was very, very confused to someone that's very confident in themselves today.
Well, that's great. So, for you, fatherhood. If I heard you right, fatherhood gave you a chance to be the father that you yourself didn't have. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay.
I wanted to be present. Yes.
Okay. So from a standpoint of your interests, and even for the benefit of, people who may be listening, you said that as you were growing up, your interests were probably a lot different than a lot of the young men your age, and probably even the young women when you think in terms of, our culture and, the the nutcracker. But I'm sure that you maybe had to. I guess you suffered when people did know what your interests were. A lot of times, men um, in the arts, get labeled, you know, and so forth. So, I mean, I'm not sure whether you experienced that or anything. We want to see entertainers, so-called entertainers, but then we have a problem. Then we stand back and we make judgments on what it means to be an entertainer. So, did you experience any types of people questioning, who you were, or that you should have been doing, but you did say you were involved in sports. So I did hear you say that, sports and the arts, but those are, those are two kind of on the opposite side. I mean, of the spectrum, so to speak, you know what I mean? So did you do both in high school, and did that help balance you and give you street cred, so to speak?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Before I found myself and, jumped into the arts, sports and music helped me to cope with not being like everybody else. I saw a lot of violence in East New York, Brooklyn. A lot of tough kids were teenagers, and had grown men scared of them. I didn't like to see that. My whole thing was, let's be cool. You know what I mean? Everybody's not a goon or a tough guy. There are some people out here that's just the cool person in the neighborhood, or the funny person in the neighborhood, or
Mhm.
someone that just wants to make it out the neighborhood to find themselves and be something, to accomplish something out of a neighborhood that doesn't produce a lot of success. So, I kind of became a loner, and I kind of just started doing things myself because I didn't feel like I fit into other people's box. So I listened to different type of musics to help me cope. And when I got into the early years of my adulthood, I started trying different things, drawing, fiddling with, starting a clothing line. I always liked a nice type of dress style, and I patterned what I wore and what I was into trying to create that for a broader spectrum. So I took a certificate class for that and got halfway into creating a clothing line and also a shoe line before I figured out I didn't want to do it for anybody else. I just wanted to do it for myself. So still went through the process of really trying to find myself. And I want to say when I turned about 30, I really, really started getting attracted to art galleries and questioning what art meant to me. And everything is a form of art. People try to put, brackets on what art is. Graffiti is art. Any kind of music is art, whether it be hip hop, all of it is art. Breakdancing is art. It's a form of self-expression. Period. There shouldn't be any type of bottled up uh, uh, theme on what art is. It's really just about self-expression from an individual perspective and point of view. And we all have that and we all share that. And that helped me express myself when I wasn't sure what words to use to express myself. So that was kind of my start, and it really helped me establish myself.
Wow. Now, you're born and raised in Brooklyn. So you would have been, I guess, around the same age, or you are, I guess, around the same age that maybe maybe say a Biggie Smalls. Biggie Smalls would have been. I don't know how old he would have been, but he would have been in your growing up era, like Biggie and some of the other rappers. So I'm assuming that there were a lot of young people getting into the rap game and so forth at that time. And like you said, with that went unfortunately some violence. Went hand in hand with that. So and then you like you said you were creative and so forth. But did you ever see yourself maybe going into say the rap game because maybe at that time that seemed to be the thing that was the only thing that a young melanated male coming out of Brooklyn could or would do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think we all was reaching for the dream that we saw in front of us. There wasn't a lot of things that you was told that you can be. I remember when I was in public school, it was a fireman, a policeman, or a lawyer, or maybe a doctor. That was it. There wasn't no you can be an entrepreneur. There wasn't a you don't necessarily have to have a high college degree to go and make something of yourself. So, we saw music as a form of expression and, a way to make good money while being famous. Today, I don't give a damn about fame. I never did. But, as a teenager, you think fame is cool and, getting the accolades from people and making money and creating yourself and waking up when you feel like it. So we all wanted to do that.
That sounds like
Biggie Small.
retirement. Look, that sounds like a senior citizen retirement.
Listen,
I just
it was real to us at the time. It was very real to us at the time. Biggie Smalls has me by a few years, maybe 5 years, but he came to my neighborhood one day. We saw him in person. He was tangible, and
mm,
he was a larger than life figure for us at the time. But again, you have to ask yourself, is that really what you want to do? It's a lot of acting in the music industry and in the music world, and a lot of business that goes on behind the doors where you can't be your true self. And as much as I tried to pretend to in my earlier years to fit in, the universe and spirit was telling me, like, bro, this is not who you are. This is not who you are. And if you try to continue to fit into that box, I'm going to give you a hard time. And I had a very hard time until I decided to really just be who I was and realize that I could still be the same cool cat, the same cat that dressed nice, the same cat that had great things going on for himself without having to be a goon with no job in the neighborhood doing nothing with itself because it's so-called was the cool thing to do.
Wow. Yeah, because you say that behind the glitz and the glamour of the lifestyles that are portrayed before us, it's not really reality. And that's one of the things we want to touch on tonight. We have imagery and we have pageantry and all of these things. And even with, the shutdown of Hollywood, I call it Hollywood, even with the shutdown of Hollywood, and, we've talked about this, the productions go on. We just see them in different forms. I mean, it's not, not box office material, but it's live and it's on, on your television every time you turn it on, be it the news, the early day, late night, midday, late night talk show, anything that it's a production, and it's things that are being presented to the public in order to shape our thinking, our to make our decision making, to here and where I am, it's primary day, so our to be able to harness, if you will, our votes, and all kinds of things are happening to get our minds, to get us. I didn't bring one up here because I hate it so much, but to get us to become comfortable wearing masks. A lot of things are happening, to get us. It's called, you talked about this. You were not going to conform. You were not going to take, be your square peg and fit yourself in a round hole, or vice versa. You wanted the freedom, and you realized you needed to embrace the freedom of being authentically yourself. And I think a lot of people are not authentic. I heard a sister today, and I did we call a watch party on Facebook today, and I wasn't sure what the sister was saying, and so I clicked the watch party. I mean, and she was in the shower, but she was dignified. She was, she was tatted up, and apparently she's a social media influencer of her own, probably into esoterics. And she was, her thing was why she doesn't follow the conscious community, and she made a lot of valid points. I mean, her presentation was very colorful. It was peppered with words that you and I probably would not use, but the content of what was said, and the only thing that really kind of hurt me when I shared it was that there's the young lady that I highlighted yesterday. I saw where she joined the watch party, and I was like, ooh, because she's 11, and I was like, I hope she clicks off, because she hears these words. I don't want her dad not to think, because I had no idea when I made the watch party part that it was going to be so colorful. But the point I want to make is that she talked about what people consider consciousness and spirituality, and she said, people are trying to run away from religion, but then they run right into their so-called spirituality, which they kind of turn it into another form of a religion, and they want everybody to follow them and believe in them. And if like, I post things all the time, and I'm sitting there posting things. I don't really give two craps who likes it or not. I got to get it out of my head. You're a creative person. You ever get like that? I got to get it. You got to get it off your chest. Got to get it out of your head. So I'll get a thought, and it'll pester me until I create a meme, and I'll post it. And after that, I really, I'm not too concerned about what happens with it. I'm, like you said, whoever it's for, they'll get it. And so, but the sister was talking about how many people don't realize that, the consciousness is within oneself. That when when you're conscious, the only one that you need to be concerned about who's doing what is you. You know what I mean? So
Absolutely.
you come here with a mission. And obviously, like I said, a lot of people never find um, or fulfill their mission because for the very thing that you spoke of, their conformity, the herd mentality. They don't want to be like a David Holley and say, hey, I'm going to march to the beat of my own drums. I'm going to make my own clothing line because this is what I like and it's not out there. Or I want to design my own shoe, or I'm going to go to art galleries and I'm going to go to plays and stuff like that. And I'm going to be all right with me, whether you're all right with me or not. With that,
Right.
with that,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, that's extremely accurate. And it takes a lot of confidence, and it takes a lot of belief in yourself to know that you're different, but to also know that there's somebody paying attention to you. That same person that may be clowning you outside in your neighborhood or in school, or somebody telling you, he ain't cool enough. They watching you. They just not physically telling you, you know, you might be on to something, but they watching you. They watching your movements. They seeing that you have the confidence that it takes to take a step into a world that they don't have the confidence for. So it's safe to conform. It's safe to fit in with everybody else. Not everybody has that type of confidence level, which is why everybody's not happy in life with maybe some of the choices that they made because they were afraid to step out of the comfort zone and pursue something. And a lot of people's version of success um, are different. Success has been made to believe that there's money attached to it, and it's really not. Success can be taking a step into an area that you were scared to death to take a step into. For instance, maybe like a public speaking. Standing in front of a few hundred people and just speaking. A lot of people are afraid of that, but when you walk off that stage after completing that, that's a level of success pertaining to you. Success is all about your value of what success is. It doesn't have anything to do with money. So I kind of feel like we've been misled in a lot of different areas on specific things.
Well, yeah. Now, for you, eventually, your pursuits. How did you get to the acting and film directing part? I mean, that's stuff you're things that you're doing now. But how did you evolve from just enjoying the arts from a standpoint of going to art galleries and plays and so forth to actually you yourself participating in that? Because there may be people who are wondering, even with things being as they are, I'm assuming that there's still opportunities out there, perhaps, maybe.
Um, it was a lot of things that didn't work that I tried, and it was tough out here. And I knew that whatever it was that I was doing, I wanted it to be passion driven, and I wanted to be happy behind it, to feel like um, I was on my path, whatever path that was supposed to be. Money doesn't necessarily equate to happiness. There's a lot of people out here making millions of dollars that hate their job. There's a lot of people that, if they weren't being paid the amount of money that they was being paid for it, they wouldn't get up and do it for free. There's no passion behind it. So in trying to find my niche, one day I just got fed up, and I just said to myself, let me take a step into unfamiliar territory just to try something new that I think I may be able to do. So with that being said, I went to a book signing one day. A friend of mine knew someone that had came out with a book, and being the type of person that I am, let me go and support. Somebody's out here doing something with themselves, pushing their dream. Let me go and support. I'd love to purchase that book, and may actually turn out to be a great read. No expectation behind it. At the book signing, I wind up being introduced to a woman whose name is Deborah Cardona, who was actually getting ready to hold auditions for an independent film that she was coming out with based on true events and her life story. Harlem. So I ran my mouth and was like, okay, I'm going to audition. And that night I was like, did you just say you was going to audition? What's wrong with you, man? Like prior to that, I had no background acting experience whatsoever. And there's people who.
Oops. Looks like we lost him. Um, Hopefully we will get David back. Thank you all for your patience. Stuff happens. Let's see if he logs in. We were having some technical difficulties. He's trying to. Okay, let me get him back. Are you back?
Yes. What happened?
Okay, I don't know. It's great to talk about because we had technical difficulties a little earlier, and we had to switch to the phone instead of your PC. So I don't know, but you're right back. So you're talking about the audition that you
Right.
decided that you were going to do.
So I went to the audition, or rather, I said to myself after singing I was going to audition, now I have to follow through because I done already ran my mouth. And, there's people in this game who are built for this. They were born into acting and they take it very seriously. And here I am with no background experience whatsoever. And I'm just going to audition. And I remember the day that I was supposed to audition, it was raining so hard. I mean, raining. And I sat at the edge of my bed and I was like, I'm not going. It's raining. Just looking for any excuse. I'm not going. Right. And my heart was pounding so hard. And I sat on my bed and I said to myself, if you don't go to this audition, you're going to regret not going because you don't know what could have taken place. So I actually went to the audition and I didn't do a terrible job, but I didn't do a great job either. I'm very honest. I knew that I needed work, but I knew that I had potential. And I'm grateful that there were people there that saw that I had potential. So rather than me just, being all right with whatever role they wanted to give me, which was a small role at the time, I decided to go and take acting lessons. I decided to hone my own craft and be as good as I can be. So the next time I came back to the set, I can show that I advanced. And, not that I needed anybody else to clap it up for me, but just for myself to know within myself that this is something that I'm taking seriously. So a friend of mine suggested that I go and take acting lessons from a lady in New York City whose name is Wendy McKenzie, who actually happens to be Tasha from the TV show Power, her acting coach. And I went down and it was intense, but it was one of the best experiences I ever had because it forced me to come out of my shell. And I also learned that there was more to acting than just reading lines off of a paper. It's body language, it's everything, and you really have to be serious about this. So after my acting lessons, I went back and, it was still rehearsals. And not only was I reading my lines much better, I was also helping people who was auditioning just like me as well. I'm not the type of person that's going to box you out. I'm here to take your position. So I ain't helping you with nothing. No, if I can help you based on something that I learned, that's what I'm here for. That's just how I'm built. And the director took notice of that, that, I was talented in specific areas. And a few months later, she said to me, I really see your talent. And not only do I want you to have a bigger part in this movie, which is titled Pocket Full of Game, she was like, I want you to co-direct it with me because you have a gift of seeing things in your mind and actually implementing them in rehearsals. And I know that that can be, a good look for this movie. So I wind up being an actor and director in the movie Pocket Full of Game. That was my directorial debut. Prior to the movie Pocket Full of Game, I had a small role in the movie Trapped. So things kind of just started rolling from there. And I realized that it was the momentum was moving in my favor and based on my action, because you can pray all you want, but if there's no action connected to that prayer, you're moving nowhere fast. So I knew that the action was there, and I was putting in work and sweat equity. And I knew that there was a matter of time before, things kind of started moving, and they started moving. And I'm very grateful for that, because there's been a few projects that I've been a part of, and some things that I'm also working on right now. I'm getting ready to start a inspirational documentary at the end of this month, that I'm really excited about.
Yes, and your story is one that's inspirational. So I hope I hope it's about how you've taken a journey from trying to, not so much trying. Seems like early on you decided that you didn't need to fit in, but you struggled with the fact that there was a sort of an overarching expectation
Yes.
that everybody sort of go along with the herd, and they call that the herd mentality. I heard you say you tried a lot of things and they weren't successful, and it brought to mind that quote or whatever they said, that Edison, when he was supposedly trying to create the light bulb, and he said, I didn't fail 1,000 times, I found 1,000 ways things didn't work. So so you were along the way, all of the various things, I'm pretty sure. And that's the way I feel about myself, because I used to call myself, how they call a guy a jack of all trade and the master of none. Well, I used to call myself the Jackie of all trade and the mistress of none. Same thing, because there were so many things in my life that I have tried. And, it got to the point where people were like, oh, now what's she doing? You know what I mean? Now what's she doing? In other words, here we go again. But you've got to be able to, I think, go through the full spectrum of what you came here with. And when I say what you came here with, I mean, a lot of times we don't realize that we came on a mission. We just think we were born, our mom and dad got together, and boom, there we are. And,
Right.
So if I can go a bit esoteric on the listeners and viewers, is that, I'm of the opinion that, the soul of who we are kind of surveys the parents in advance, and knows, in that soulish state, that he's going to be an alcoholic, and she's going to be or she's going to be a little bit trifling or so forth, but yet takes on the role of them two coming together, and creating the spark that brings that their soul can then go into and come here, because we're always on a quest. I look at life as a quest. I look at life as, you come here on a mission that you agreed to, but you spend 9 months in the womb, approximately. Some go less, but 9 months in the womb, in the amniotic fluid, which I call what I call it amnesia juice. So you're sloshing around in the amnesia juice for 9 months, and dang, you forget that you were coming to the university worst or toughest planet, if you will, and you were going to do XYZ. You were going to change the world, and you get here and you're faced with all of these obstacles, but you don't realize that you set the obstacles up, because you knew that in the end you would be able to overcome those obstacles and do what you said you were going to do, accomplish your mission, fulfill your mission, and you get back to where you started, to source. But you forgot.
Absolutely.
A lot of us have forgotten.
It's a roller coaster. It really is. And I think that is a lot of people that's walking around saying to themselves, what the hell am I doing here? And what did I get myself into? I want to go back right now.
Yeah.
But you have to understand that whether you know the reason that you're here for or not, you are here, right? That's one. Two, everything is a choice. Everything is a choice. You can either choose to follow your soul path or not follow your soul path. Obviously, if you go against the energy, things will be, tough for you, but there is choice. Earth is choice, period. You can totally go against the things that you actually agreed to come here and do before you actually incarnated, onto Mother Gaia. So it really depends on you, and whether you're going against the grain, because intuition talks to you inside. Like if you're still enough to feel it and listen and understand, you'll realize that intuition is letting you know, do this, this is a good look for you, or if you do this, you on your own with the repercussions, because I'm not green lighting what you supposed to, what you choosing to do, period. And if you tap into that, things would be much more easier to you. But if you don't, forget about it. But we are here for a reason, and love is at the center of it all. You know, that's the 528 hertz frequency, and it's really just about being your authentic self, spreading love, and helping someone the best way that you possibly can without expecting anything in return for. You know, I mean, as crazy as that seems, it's not a lot of people that's on that wave, but that's really what it's about. You know what I mean? Treating somebody as you would like to be treated back yourself, and just trying to be the best person that you can be here to leave something positive, you know, on humanity, your own individual stamp on it, you know?
Yeah, that's really good. And like I said, in a world full of imagery of tough guys and thugs and wops and hoochies and all kinds of you know what I'm saying. It's kind of difficult to come off as like when you start talking about love, then it's like, oh, something flaky about that person because they talking about love. But you're right. When we see the imagery of the imagery, and I'm not saying that the imagery see is necessarily accurate to the features and whatever, but the imagery of what they portrayed as Jesus, Yeshua, the Christ, you always see the heart on the outside. A lot, not always, but a lot of times you'll see the depictions of the heart. Of course, with me being a Reiki practitioner and understanding more now than I did before about energies and so forth, and the heart chakra in particular, the thing that intrigues me the most is that there are many chakras in the body. There's many energy points in the body, but the 7 main chakras, the middle of the 7 is the heart. Is that 4th chakra, and so it is to me the balance of everything. So when your heart chakra, when the energy, which is what we vibrate, that's what in the so-called church we used to call the agape love. I'm not talking about conditional love. I'm not talking about I love you if you love me, or I love you if you do for me, I love you if you look right, or if you never get fat, or you never lose your hair. No, the unconditional love. A lot of times maybe a mother feels it for that semblance of it, but not completely, say for a baby, for a child. But it's even stronger than that. When you really get this non-judgmental, like you said, non-expectation, even if you spit on me or call me out of my name, or if I've had people in my life that I had to realize when I went from being a pastor to being who I am now, that I was more judgmental when I was, Apostle Gilliam, than I ever will be and have been since, as I begin to grow in the knowledge of unconditional love. And so I can love people who have turned their call themselves turning their back on me or kicking me to the curb, because now that they think I'm not in the fold anymore. So that right there lets you know that if you can only love people that are in your crew, in your group, in your family, in your Fave Five circle, then that's not love at all. And so one of the things that I advocate from a standpoint of universality is that if everyone could work on their heart chakra, their love, and there's a I think there's a place called Heart Map. It's like a heart. It's called, if you Google heart map, like mapping, MAP. It's like, I think it's heart map. I don't think it's math, but there's a whole organization that all they really do is they regulate and not regulate, but they investigate what the heart actually does. And I'm not talking about beating, from a standpoint of the energy and how you can change things. I mean, they the test of water and so forth. So when you speak words of praise and uplift and all of that, or to a plant, they have two plants there, and one gets the loving words, heart words, and the other one gets these angry lower chakra level words. We do it to each other too. So when the water or the plant or whatever that gets all of the praise is examined, it's flourishing and it's whatever. But the thing that is getting the negativity, not flowing from the heart, probably you dealing with the root chakra, that thing begins to die and wither and has, if you look at it microscopically, it has grotesque shapes. Well, because we are 80% or so, 70% or more water ourselves, when we speak not only to each other, but even self-talk, because a lot of people think it's just what you say to somebody else that affects them, but they don't realize it's what you say in here. Your self-talk can be just as damaging and not from the heart center as if somebody external from you did it, and it can keep you down. And so, and I know I'm talking a lot, but I'm thinking in terms of you and your journey, that you found out early on that you had to take care of David and David's heart and David's interests and everything, even if it meant that to other people there was something wrong with you. But as it has turned out, because you have a giving spirit, and even when we talk, you've said, I said, oh, let me connect you with this person, that person, and you say, oh, hey, yeah, I'd be glad to talk to them, and I'd be glad to share anything I know. And I know that's how you are, but you've developed that. That's why your demeanor is so, it's calm, and you don't come off thuggish at all, because your heart is on the outside. When I say outside, I mean, I was tested once, and they can do aura reading, and they said my heart chakra, the chakra, you could tell the radius of the green was so far out from my body. And you're one of those persons that people can literally read the aura and see where the energies are. And obviously your heart chakra is far reaching, because that's how you operate.
What's interesting that I was able to learn just as I grew, like in my knowledge and in my experiences, that your body that you look at every day in the mirror, your face and everything else. I mean, obviously it's your face, it's the physical aspect of it, the tangible aspect of it, but your body is made out of millions and millions and millions of cells. And when you look in the mirror and you tell your face you didn't do something good enough, or you don't look good enough, or you're not this or you're not that, in a negative aspect, based on what somebody else told you and you believe it, or whether you just started believing it yourself, your cells are saying, well, we're not good enough for David, or we're not good enough for Dr. G, or we're not good enough. And they start to perform that way.
Mm-hmm.
Things aren't going the right way in your life experience. We always tend, and myself included, because I'll always use myself as an example, we tend to look at the outer experiences and blame that, when in actuality, it's really a reflection from inside of what it is that we feel. And that's what's actually coming back to us in our life experience. So look at yourself as a one of one individual, an art piece. You're not here to be someone else. You're here to be yourself. That's one. Two, it's important to be real with yourself. Like, really honestly be real with yourself about accountability and what you're doing and your actions, and what you want to do with yourself in your life, and what feels good, and really check in with yourself every day. I think a lot of people, it's very easy to point the finger, when in actuality it starts with yourself as an individual.
You're right. Do you, and you didn't say it, but do you employ anything such as a meditation or anything to like center or balance yourself? Do you do anything like that? I mean, what are some of your practices, like say a daily practice maybe, that might be something that it is you feel helps to keep you centered and on point with what your goals are?
Um, that's actually a great question. I'm glad you brought that up because again, in researching, you can tend to try to follow conventional ways. Meditate and put yourself in a lotus flower. I hated that. It didn't work for me. I was in my mind way too much. So I started looking for alternative ways that had the same type of experience. So if you can't sit for 15, 20 minutes and, listen to relaxing music and remain calm, you could take a walk through a park. And, being around trees and grass and nature has the equivalent of meditating for 15 or 20 minutes in a lotus position. So I would make sure that as often as I can, obviously in New York City, it's definitely not a lot of grass, but if you could hit a Central Park in Manhattan or a Prospect Park in Brooklyn or your local park, whatever, and just hang out for a minute, man, and just enjoy the ambiance of what's there. It'll raise your vibrational frequency. You'll start to feel good. And that's equivalent to meditating. So I would do that often. And honestly speaking, I realized that it's not hard. Do the things that you would like. I would go and treat myself to a brunch, you know what I mean, on the weekend. I would go and just go to places that I felt inspired me. You know what I mean? 14th Street, Union Square, or Tribeca, little things that they have with like little outside festivals, street festivals and things of that nature. Just get into a groove of doing what feels good for you, and that's gonna raise your vibrational frequency. Um, uh, I was told that records, before the frequency got changed by the music industry, had a healing tone to it. So any kind of old school records, if you play them and you kind of get in touch with music that your mother would play when it was time to clean up on Sunday, some of those songs are still kind of stuck in our mind just based on old school childhood memories. And, if they ever played the music on a record player, the vibrational frequency is high. It actually heals your DNA and your bodily structure, which is why they don't really make records like that no more. They switch to CDs. That's a different type of note. But doing what you love and what feels good is just as good as any kind of meditation that you can ever do. And you'll notice the change in yourself. You'll notice that there's people that aren't aligned or resonating with what you're into now. And that's the easiest way to not waste energy. If there's friends that aren't, you're going to lose a bunch of them. But the universe is also going to bring people into your life that need to be there, that resonate with where you are as a person. And I think that's important.
Yeah, that is, and everything you said, particularly when you were talking about being out, I'm going way back to the beginning of it, nature and things like that, and the various, things. One of the things I started doing before I was injured in 2017, I was doing something called Nature Church, and I'd stopped pastoring, but then I started taking either a few people would come with me or I'd go totally by myself to a local park that's here, and it's beautiful, and I would videotape and just talk, to people. And I have hundreds and hundreds of pictures I've taken. And I mean, I even one day snapped a chipmunk. I'd never seen a chipmunk besides Alvin and those guys. And he doesn't look like them, but it was a chipmunk. You know what I mean? I would see, so many things that just connected me with the universe that were happening around me that I wouldn't have seen it behind the pulpit. But I felt even more. I would show up at the park in the morning and go to the river, and a gaggle, I'll call them a gaggle, a bunch of ducks would come up to the riverbank. Like one would start squawking like, she's here. And they would come and they would quack, quack, quack for a few minutes. I said, okay, now the choir's finished and now we can go. So they would be the choir. The ducks would be the choir. And then I'd take my walk, and I might walk 4 miles. You know what I mean? And I was doing that until I, injured both my legs in a crazy accident. I tore both quad tendons. And so it's been, this has been the comeback since 2017 from those injuries. But that was my thing. That was the thing that brought me closer to the universe and what I felt. I had a better even feeling than I did when I was up there, sweating, preaching and jumping and hollering, just being out there and being connected. So you're right. It's not always about sitting still because a lot of us can't. We don't know how to sit still. But like you said, if you're moving, and the other thing that I've learned about is grounding or earthing. As we speak, I have my feet on a earthing pad that's under my desk, and it is the equivalent of me standing out um, outside with barefoot, in the and connecting with Gaia. And I also have an earthing sheet that's like a bottom sheet. Very expensive. You pay $200 for a sheet, but when you're laying on that sheet, it's as if you were laying out on the ground, and the energy of the earth is coming. It's actually connected and grounded, and by grounding wire and so forth. And so, but we can do these things naturally just by simply like taking your shoes off for a few minutes. I tried the sun gazing thing, and I think I messed my eyes up a little bit. I've been having eye trouble, and some people can do it. I can gaze from a distance, but I had cataract surgery, so probably it messed with my cataract, with my implants and so forth. But there are various things that you can do. I used to actually hug trees. Yeah, I was a tree hugger, so I just wanted that connection. When I was doing what I was doing, and I felt more connected. I felt more a part of everything. And then I started having respect. And like I said earlier, I started respecting and being more appreciative than I was when I was, in this highfalutin position, of a spiritual member of the clergy. And when I just came down to earth, I was able to connect with I started like where you smash a bug and that it showed up in the house like one of those little stink bugs or whatever. I started finding something to pick it up and throw it out the door instead of, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's something
Exactly.
clicks when you start to get connected and you have respect
Exactly.
for things that you disrespected before you got to that place. So
Absolutely.
when it
Um,
comes, yeah, go ahead.
no, no, I was just getting ready to co-sign everything that you said. I just think that it's an awareness that one has just based on the flow of energy that they're kind of paying attention to, that kind of changes that for them. Back in the days, if there was a fly in your house, you would get that fly swatter. If mom said get that swatter, and it'd be over for that fly or that bee or whatever it was. We didn't think twice about it. But you know, over time, once you kind of start to get connected, you do just that. Let me get a little piece of paper and throw it out the window, or whatever. The word namaste basically breaks down to the God in me recognizes the God in you. So
Yeah.
everything is life. Everything is life, and this may sound a little cheesy, but who are you to dictate, what stays and what goes, or what goes rather. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Every life is important out here, period. So I get that. Not everybody is on that wavelength, but that's important.
Hmm.
And also, th- we all value different things, so just like you speaking on how much you pay for the grass bed sheet, but there's many people out here that spend $300-400 for a pair of Jordans. I spent a lot of money for sneakers before. There's women that love heels, that love Louis Vuitton bags. It's basically what you value, period. So there's nothing wrong with spending something or spending the fiat money on something that you feel is actually valuable and helping your growth, or the energy that you kind of keep around you, because you're in control of that. And I think that's something else that um, we all have to realize as well. And again, I was one who had to change my circle. If you're the smartest one in your circle, then you need a new circle, because it's people that will try to, in my neighborhood, in East New York, Brooklyn, there's people that will hurt you so that you won't make it in life, period. If you have everything going on and you have some sort of potential and they don't, there's people that will hurt you so that you don't make it in life. So you have to be conscious of the energy that you keep around you. Is this working? Is it not working? If it's not working, you don't want to be the smartest one in your circle. You're never going to go anywhere. So
Right.
be accountable for the energy that you keep around you. And if things aren't working your way, then you in a humble way, you might want to take a look at yourself and what you're doing and figure out where you may want to make the necessary changes at, because we as people are in control of that. Like, let's stop pointing the finger and let's really start checking ourselves as individuals so that we could be a better person or people.
Yeah, you're right, because a lot of times people, the people they grew up with, they don't want to. They don't. How many times do you hear a story where somebody they make it out the hood, and then they take everybody with them. They take all their boys with them, and now they're living their lives to support the crew that they brought with them, that bring nothing. They just the crew. They just
It,
the hangers on from that were waiting for somebody to make it so that they could get out. And now you have the responsibility of not only making it for yourself and your family, but now you got to take care of Lottie Dottie and everybody, because and if you don't, then there's they cry foul, because you promised. We said if anybody make it, they was going to take every. Yeah, we say a lot of things when we're young and so forth, but and some people try to keep that up, but like you said, these people, if you are the smartest, or sharpest knife in the drawer, and to yourself, you know what, they're sharper. You need to get in the place of sharper, because they say iron sharpens iron. So if you got people around you that don't want anything, have never produced anything, and the only thing they've ever done were negative things, then you think they're going to change just because now you're taking care of them?
well,
It's not going to
I
happen.
don't feel bad not being able to take everybody, because was they in a gym shooting with you when you was practicing? Was they up at 6 o'clock in the morning, honing and sharpening their craft with you? Was they clapping all the way to the finish line for you and, telling everybody about, what a good job you're doing because they believe in you? No, they wasn't doing that. So you can't have your hand out to receive something, but you haven't been given everything. So again, accountability is very important in my humble opinion. And you have to be out doing something for yourself. There's no handouts out here. Nobody held my hand and said, well, David, I'm gonna connect you to this person and woo woo woo. It wasn't any of that. It was belief in myself. When I first started, there was no overwhelming support. It was a belief in myself. There were a few people that responded back to the projects that I did, like, oh, I didn't know you was doing it like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I laugh at that because, well, how did you think I was going to do it? If I can't do it at a high level, I don't want to do it at all. So with that being said, accountability, you can't not give nothing and want everything. So that's important. I think everybody needs to be accountable for their own actions and what they're doing in their life.
You're right. And a lot of times people are absolutely not accountable, but they want you to be accountable to them. They want you to keep your word and keep your promises and so forth. And I think that's what a lot of times people might even um, sabotage their own success just by the people that you have around you. And you have to be willing, like you said early on, you have to be willing to walk alone. And I'm saying this not only, this is what you've shared, and this is what somebody listening may need to hear, because oops, there we go again. Okay. I think David is having some problems because he had to get on his phone as opposed to his here he is. He's back. I don't
So
know what keeps happening, but we got you back. While we're talking, I got down here for them to stack silver with David Holley.
oh, let's get it. We got to get that Quicksilver too, for sure. That's
Yeah.
amazing, amazing stuff here.
Yes, but yeah, we what I want, I guess, from a standpoint of manifestation, the how does one go about manifesting one, and how does one go about manifesting? And let me say what I'm you know what reason why I said that. I was gonna say not manifesting, but it wasn't gonna make sense. You either manifest what you want or you manifest what you don't want,
Right.
right?
Right.
So can you talk about that?
Absolutely. I believe that what you think about and what you focus on the most is what actually materializes in your life experience. So a lot of us, myself included, especially in my earlier travels, um, you're focused on what you don't want to happen. You know what? I don't want to I don't want this person. I don't want to end up with this type of person in a relationship. You know, I seen it with my mother and father, or I don't want this type of man in my life. And then you turn around and you with the man or the type of man or woman that you did not want in the very first place. And I believe that's because you're focusing on more of what you don't want, as opposed to really trying to focus in on what it is that you want and what it is that you are looking for. And I think it's important as an individual. A lot of people don't like to spend time alone. And I'm not saying that you should spend an overwhelming amount of time alone, but it's important for you to know you as a person. And just getting to know yourself and just spending just a little bit of time with yourself can kind of clear up so much. And you can be clear with yourself on what it is that you do like. Like, question yourself, what does Dave like? What do I not like? And let me get rid of some of that stuff, because I'm in control of some of that. When let me start focusing on what feels good and what I want to me, as opposed to trying to please everybody else or listening to what somebody else is saying. Can't nobody else tell you what makes you feel good, and what gets you out of bed excited every AM. Only you. So if you focus more on what it is that makes you feel good and what you enjoy in life, I feel like things will start to materialize in your life at a very fast pace that makes you happy, because the manifestation is going to happen, period. It's just whether those things are in resonance with what makes you feel good or not, period.
And yeah, because a lot of you spot on with that. A lot of people, can't figure out, why does this always happen to me? Because you think and say that this always happens to you, and the universe is like, okay, we got to have this always happening to her. This always has to happen to him, like you said. And people have no inkling. They cannot connect their own thoughts, their own confessions with their outcomes, what they manifest. That's why I said, either you're going to manifest or you're going to manifest. You're either going to manifest what you want or you're going to manifest what you don't want, by virtue of what you speak. For as a man or woman speaketh, so is she. And you can have whatsoever you say. You know what I mean? You can you create, and people go, oh, that's not true. And then they look around themselves and they're in the same situation over and over again. And even though it's not a good thing, they can't connect that with the words of their mouth or the thoughts of their mind. And I said that earlier about self-talk. Thoughts become things, and so we're not careful. I'll say some things sometimes and I have to retract it quickly, like, let me take that back. Because there is a there is a what I call a subconscious manufacturing, 24-hour 7-day a week, never shuts down subconscious factory in you, a conscious, it's in your subconscious, this factory, and whatever you put down in there is producing something. So your thoughts are going in, people's other words are coming in, the influences from the television or the social media, it's coming in, it's going into the factory, and the factory says, oh, I've got these raw materials, what can I make with this? Oh, there's some self-doubt that they don't like what they look like. They don't like how they don't like their this person and let me make some and then it comes up to you. And they don't know that it was created, in the workshop of the mind, in the subconscious.
Exactly. The great Grand Sheik Taj Tariq Bey, always says, "You've been had, get over yourself." And I laugh at that all the time, because he's right. There's a lot of information out here, and a lot of it isn't for our benefit. They'll take a piece of truth and they'll put a lie up top and a lie under and serve it, to you. And the best way to hide the truth is to, surround it with some lies so that you can't really tell what's the truth from the lies. And, you kind of taken on, certain things that's been false information. And it gets to a point where you have to kind of realize to yourself, well, I've been lied to about a lot of things, and I've been made to believe that the power is not within me. A lot of people tend to believe that the power or Christ or God or whatever it is that you think the universal energy is outside of you. And you're looking in the sky when you're praying and you're doing all of that and you're asking for help outside of you. The universe is within you. The power is within you. The spirit, the creator consciousness is within you. Talk to yourself. Stop looking outside and look within. And that's where the answers is. But you have to be brave enough to search within first. A lot of people don't want to go within because what they may find is scary. You may have some things in that closet that you may have to face and clean out that you've been hiding. That dirt pile that you swept under the carpet that's in the corner that's been there for years, you're gonna have to clean that up. You know what I mean? But it's gonna be a better home for you, meaning it's gonna be a better temple. You're gonna be a better person when you're able to go within and find out that truth. So be all right with the fact that you've been lied to, but also understand that you have the power to change what it is that you put into your system so that you can get a better you.
Yeah, I wanted to look, and we've been going on, and I want to let the viewers know we're not ignoring them. I'm pretty sure that there are comments here, so I want to make sure that there's. I did see one comment that kind of stuck out. It was a brother that said he said, okay, he said, Patrick Hare, I would love to pair my music with some of the films that you're in. So we have to make a connection there. Yeah, we have to make a connection there. I'm not sure. Knowing half about Dr. G, love the new microphone setup. Shout out to brother C. Wayne from Jamaica for this setup. Yes, your brother called me about a month or so ago and said, I would like to get you a microphone, a more professional. I had a professional one, but it just wasn't that good. I guess I was kind of using the camera mic. And he's from Jamaica, and I think he's over here for a while, with this pandemic and so forth. But it was delivered on the 25th of last month. So I'm appreciative of the microphone and the professional setup. Hopefully the sound is better. Yeah, hopefully the sound is better. And Amos A. Hotep Bay said, what you do every day determines your tomorrow. And that's true.
Facts.
That's Facts. So true. Yeah, that's true. Sandra Thomas Bay said, peace, Dr. G. We must be careful now because of the chemicals being used in nature and parks, on the grass, etc. Well, I haven't walked barefoot in the park for a long, long time, but I do need to get back there and walk. But like I said, I have grounding pads. Like I said, I'm grounding right now, And I'm not going to be sleeping on the grounding sheet tonight because I got to wash it. You have to wash them. Unless you buy two, you don't. Unless you want to spend 400, you got to wash it and put the. But I'm going to put my copper sheets on now. I have copper infused sheets too. I mean, there are a lot of things that we have to learn how to do and learn about that would make life better, because so many things are happening outside. I mean, I was outside for a while today, and then all of a sudden I started to get really like choky, just like I felt like I was, the air was funny and so forth. And there is stuff in the air. And I've been in the house for like several days. Sometimes I won't come out for 2 or 3 days. I'm in the house and I'm thinking it must be the universe. Because I see the time when I have a brand new vehicle and it might move twice a week. It's just that I don't, after a while, things that you thought you want to do. One thing this thing is doing, and I hate to name it, it is teaching me, and I'm pretty sure others, how to say I don't need that. You know what I mean? Did I really need that? If you're like me and you have enough clothes that you can give everybody in a 10 block radius, an outfit or two, and you're going, you're looking now saying that was excessive, and people aren't going to work. They're working, all they need is a top on, if they're doing meetings, Zoom meetings, as long as they don't stand up. They don't have to dress up anymore. Women don't need these fancy high heels. Very few women are going, literally to work. A lot of people are working remotely and so forth. And people are finding out, was it all, it was, why did I spend all of this? Why I could have bought silver. I could have done anything. I could have had savings. I've wasted just to, like you said, keep up with, the Joneses, so to speak, because that's what the status quo is. That's what everybody's doing. Every time the latest iPhone comes out, we got to have it, or the latest Samsung. But, I refuse to buy a 5G phone. So I just got a new phone recently, and it's the old 4G one. I didn't want a 5G. 4G is bad enough. So I didn't want to get a 5G. But people feel like they got to get every bit of technology, every new outfit, every new whatever. And I think you said that early, like you said about money, it doesn't bring happiness. When you start to look around sometimes and see the excess, it brings depression.
Right.
When you've been excessive, and so, people like love it when they see Grand Chic and they see the books behind him. And that's like a section of the books. I have books all around me. And while, it might look very smart, if I'm not going to take the time to sit down and read them, what good is it? You know what I mean?
Right.
If I'm too busy to really absorb what is in all of this stuff, then it's just excess. And yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying we just have to learn. We need to learn to live with less, because we've been excessive. I've been excessive. That's my admission or confession.
I mean, it's a beautiful trick, and I definitely want to say that what they did, as far as the manipulation is concerned, they did a wonderful job at it. I just have to be real with myself and say that they did. They helped push it along to make you think that you needed something, or that you needed to look a certain way, or women look like this, guys look like this, or in the commercials, if you're beautiful, use this on your face and you'll look, like a model. People have been coached along to believe that that's what it is that they needed. 10 pair of sneakers in the club and you still feel you need more, or bags, you haven't even worn half of them, but you still feel like you need more. So I feel like people are more conscious now than they've ever been. And I feel like they're doing a lot more soul searching in their self, and aware of what doesn't necessarily make sense to them anymore. And people are questioning themselves and what's going on around them, and kind of making the necessary change where they see for themselves. And I think that that's important. A lot of people are standing up and just kind of cleaning house within themselves, and changing things about them. and they're much more happier. And I see it, with some of my friends and some of the people that I know, and it's good to see, because you want to see everybody feel good about their self and their situation and what they have going on in their life. So I see a big difference now, and I can't say that I saw that type of thing happening 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, yeah, but like I said, there have been some good things that have, if I can say good, that have come out of all of this. It just, you know, the price that has had to be paid, the lives that, what, regardless of whether they were truly from that or not, or whether they were caused, and that was used as an excuse to cause those things. Those are the things that are tough on people, especially those who have lost family members and friends and so forth. And so, it's real. Some of us haven't lost anyone to this. And so we could be sort of abstract with it. But when people know people, who have actually left here during this period of time, for whatever reason, it was called what we're being told everything else is. As one thing I was saying about this disease, that, it was so powerful that it wiped out every other disease killing, any known killing disease and known to man. It just wiped out everything: heart disease, liver disease, cancer, you name it, kidney disease, nothing else is, has the power that this thing has. And so it's just been interesting to me. But people have got, to a state right now where they are being bombarded. We are being bombarded. I'm not gonna say they. We are being bombarded every day with our by what we see, what we hear, trying to shape us and mold us, and to. It almost seems like we're being groomed to accept this is an inevitability. This is how life is going to be, and we've lost our fight. We've lost our fight, and I think with melanated people, we've been fighting all along that we are not a part of this. Yet we're some of the ones that when you look there, we're riding down the street in a car with I call it the Silence of the Lambs look. You got the Hannibal Lecter mask on, and you're in the car by yourself, and you're breathing. I said it's like taking the breathing carbon monoxide from your carburetor, sticking the pipe in your face and taping it on. That's what you're doing. To me, is what you're doing. But that's what we're being groomed as acceptable or necessary in order to survive, when the very thing that we're being told, I believe, that will keep us from something is maybe the thing that is making us even sicker, some of us. And what do you say?
The brainwashing is really crazy, and I think people are just on autopilot, just kind of doing what they see everybody else doing. And it's sad to see, like, what airborne disease do you know is actually existing in a heart of the summer and 90-degree temperature and better? That's one. Two, you need fresh air. You need fresh air. That mask, some of those masks are only good for 3 hours or so. Folks is out here using the same mask for weeks in at a time. Really start to question, whether what it is that we've been told to do, one, actually makes any kind of sense. And, also look into how to make your immune system much stronger. I went out and got myself some 100% oil of oregano, and I made sure that I was in the sun as often as I possibly could. And I made sure that I got fresh air. And, I know everybody's situation is different, but I feel like you start to look at the overall situation in a much different way once you really start to question whether any of that makes any kind of sense, what it is that they're telling you to do.
Yeah, we have so many, we have so much power. And I remember preaching, if you will. I was not preaching then, but I was coming out of the illusion of religion, so to speak. And I did a message on the 100th monkey syndrome. And, and it all deals with the fact that the collective consciousness has the power. You never know. I call it the tipping point, what the tipping point is. But people are starting to question more and more from a broader stance. I mean, people that so-called religious folk are now finally questioning their government and what the validity of some of the things that are being said. I mean, most people who call themselves so-called woke have had their minds to the extent where there's everything is suspect to us, and until proven otherwise. But I'm seeing a crossover. So when you think in terms of the collective consciousness of all of us, not knowing the tipping point, it is just so important for us to begin, like when earlier we talked about the heart. If everybody listening to this broadcast, whether you're on the live or whether you're watching this, as a replay, if you could start focusing on your heart, on your heart chakra, if you could, if you can Google, I believe it's the Heart Math Institute, and learn about how to get that part of you in line. And if we were universally thinking in terms of, let me get my heart right. I have to get my heart right. Let me focus on love. Let me focus on unconditional love. We don't know which one of us, it might be, and I did this message about the 100th monkey, and it was, is it you? In other words, are you the one that will make the difference? Like you said, when I read your bio, you like to connect with people who are doing things that make them be the change that they want to see. So are you the one? And
Right.
you listening, is it you, or is it you, or you? Is it me? Who is it that is the tipping point of us all? Because what happened with that 100th monkey scenario, if you know that story, the monkeys were, one island, the little young monkeys were washing off their sweet potatoes. The researchers were throwing the sweet potatoes out, and they would go in the sand. So the old monkeys would take the sandy sweet potatoes and eat them. One young female monkey, they observed, would take the sweet potato, take it down to the water, closer to the water, and rinse it off. Then they observed her teaching the other younger monkeys. So it stands to reason that it's the younger people. She started teaching the younger monkeys how to not eat the sandy sweet potato yams, but to wash it off. Eventually, the parents of these younger monkeys were observed washing the sweet potatoes. And then one day, because there were monkeys on other islands, in one day, all of a sudden, on other islands all around the globe, so to speak, the ones that were being watched, they all started washing their sweet potatoes. So it was called the 100th monkey effect, because those other monkeys on those other islands didn't see it. But because of the consistency of that group on that island that was being initially observed, because of the consistency of teaching each other and a new habit, at some point the tipping point occurred, and all of a sudden it kind of like goes through the universe like a wave of just consciousness, and every monkey everywhere knew they were just washing. They had never seen it, but now they were all washing. On one day it happened. And I believe that the same thing can happen with the changes that we need to see. For one of the things we got to stop doing is bickering. We got to stop fighting each other. We got to stop being angry when somebody, we got to stop trying to be, everybody wants to be a chief. You know what I mean? Nobody wants to be, everybody wants to be a leader. Nobody wants to follow. I mean, leadership is a lot of responsibility. You know what I mean? And we have got to get to a place where we're dealing from the heart. And I think if more people think in terms of unconditional love, just like hate is destructive, then love is constructive. It builds bridges, and it builds relationships, and it tears down negativity.
Exactly. Um, I feel like it takes a lot of energy out of anyone to hate and to lead with negative energy. Like it'll really wipe you out like you just hit the gym for 3 hours straight. It takes a lot of energy to hate and to hold on to stuff and grudge and wish somebody bad or whatever have you. And um I feel like there's frequency out here, whether somebody is on the love wave or not, it can still influence them. Like a lot of times, I'll see like posts on social media that says, 1 million children in Thailand, meditating for peace or something like that. You don't necessarily have to be on that stratosphere of the earth to receive the blessings and the benefit of what they're actually doing over there on that side of the earth, because the vibration is universal. So you'll get the effect of it whether you're actually over there or not. So even on a smaller scale, under 1 million people, once you reach a certain amount of people, you can still change the vibrational frequency of something and benefit from it, whether you're on the same page as that or not. But it takes a lot of energy to hate. And I really feel like it starts with self-love first. You hear that saying, you can't be anything to anybody else unless you are somebody to yourself first. So there has to be a specific level of love within yourself that you have for yourself first before you can vibrate that out to anybody, your immediate family, friends, and even people that you just happen to come across. So it starts with you as the individual having the power over yourself on what you want to do, but it takes, in my opinion, way too much energy to hate somebody and be upset and hold on to grudges. Like, your life is stopping. You'll see other people and they skipping down the street. They, you want them to be upset. They not, they smiling, they doing the do outside. And from a distance with the mean face, the hell they smiling at? Like, because the energy starts with you. So you the only one that's upset. So you kind of have to move past what you're feeling to get back into a good space, because nobody's upset, but you as the individual, if that's the energy you're giving out. That's why they say words are very powerful, because what you say out, it reflects right back to you, not the person you're saying it about. It's you. So once people are able to kind of understand that aspect of it, they'll start being a little bit more gentler with their self, and their perspective will kind of change a little bit, and life will change that way for them as well. So I think that information comes to people when they're ready for it. But I also feel like people are paying attention, so they're kind of able to pick up on small things that they weren't able to pay attention to, like at an earlier point in life. And now it makes sense to them, as opposed to like 2 or 3 years ago, it just wouldn't have resonated with them at all. And I'm seeing a lot of that, especially this year.
Yeah, it is yeah, it's we need to love. We need to love. And when I say we, now I'm talking to our melanated brothers and sisters, because there is so much dissension and separation amongst us. If we like I said, how can we get back to our place of prominence and on a global standpoint if we're hating on each other even on a local level? It's not going to happen. It's absolutely
Right.
not going to happen. And people need to do the work in order, like you said, to get self-healed, to heal the self. I think thyself, but you should, it also says, physician, heal thyself. So what that says to me is that within each and every one of us is the ability to diagnose and prescribe and heal ourselves. And a lot of times it's not a physical reason why we have these physical ailments, but it is more of a so-called, it's a thought or energetic reason why. And I'm careful about the spiritual part, because when we learn, really, we know that spirit or spiritual means breathing. That means the breath. And a lot of us don't know how to breathe. For instance, I know the sister that I had on, yeah, we do shallow breathing. But the sister that was on last week from Brazil, Brandala Prim, one of the things she teaches breath work. And just to learn how to breathe would also teach us how to relax and go within even more, because we don't. Everything is up here, and it's real, it's hurried, and it's shallow, and we become shallow as a result. I think the depth of who we are, our cells aren't energized, our brain cells are not energized, because we have not learned how to fully breathe. You talked about all those cells that we're made up. Well, they need oxygen, and breathing properly is what oxygenates our cells. But we're shallow breathers before this thing happened, and now we're shallow breathing, with like a exhaust pipe in our mouth, so to speak. And we need to get to the place where we can learn how to relax and breathe from our top of our head to the tip of our toes, and have that reflected through our body, and begin to get our heart chakra, like I said, really fully activated, and not from a standpoint of a point of weakness, but from a point of strength. Because some people think, well, I'll be all soft and stuff, and my Lord, loving people. People won't think that. No, that has nothing to do with your brute strength or anything. It has everything to do with connecting heart to heart, if you will. There is a connection, just like the synapses in your brain connect when you get a thought. The same thing happens when your heart radiates out and connects with another heart, which connects with another heart, and another, and so on and so on. And some of the things, these are some of the things that we don't generally talk about or get. We're so busy trying to straighten this out, and let somebody know who we are and who we're not, on this level and in this incarnation. And we fail to realize that we've had multiple incarnations, and sometimes we didn't look like this, and sometimes we weren't this gender, and sometimes it was not our complexion, and maybe this is a game, and are just, like I said early on, you just forgot the rules of the game.
That's a fact.
I talk a lot.
That's a listen, but when there's wisdom, it's real. It's it's like taking the training wheels off. You had the safety, of being a specific way for so long. Now it's time to take those training wheels off, and really be in control of your vehicle, your life, per se. And you may wobble, you may fall down, a little bit on, trying to get it together. I'm mindful about the fact that I've been breathing the wrong way forever and a day. So I'm like, all right, deep breaths. And then 10 minutes later, you kind of catch yourself breathing the way that you've been normally breathing for so long. So you try to do a little bit better, as time goes on. You just challenge yourself to try to be the best person that you can be in the current moment, but the awareness aspect of it, I think, is what's more important than anything. Like, if you're aware of it, you're already winning, because you're aware of implementing a change in every moment, as opposed to you just on autopilot, and you just don't get it. So you kind of just flowing through life, not really paying attention to the moment. So like 2020 going into 2021 is really like just being more aware and taking your training wheels off of somebody balancing you the way they want you balanced, and really just maneuvering your own ship, your own vehicle, and try to be gentle with yourself. That was something that I've really had to take into account, in my personal experience of being gentle with yourself, of maybe not doing something in a specific time frame, or being the type of person that you want to be in a specific type of time frame. Like, don't beat yourself up. Your individual journey is your individual journey, and be all right with that, and know that it's a marathon. In the words of the great Nip Hussle, it's a marathon, and you'll get to your finish line at the appropriate time when you're supposed to. But just try to be in the moment as often as you can, because technically that's really all we have. Is every moment is now. Tomorrow will be the now moment. So everything is in the moment. So if you operate from the best of your ability from the now moment, you winning in life. And that's really you at the top of your game, just being aware of what it is that you're doing in every moment, and treating yourself as the most high, and greeting the person that you're acting with as their most high as well.
Awesome advice. Awesome advice. Awesome advice. Let me see. Here's a question here from Nathan Jacob. Shalom. Greetings, Dr. G. Question: do you believe in the universal force known as duality and the mastering of balancing light with dark? Well, I do believe that, we the duality of, when I talk about duality, I think of higher self and lower self. A lot of times, they try to separate and make these ego. The ego wants to say that there's a devil and there's a God, or an angel, if you will, or whatever. But I believe that those forces are within each one of us, that we have. So that is duality in nature. That, and from a standpoint of balancing dark with light, light, when you can go into a dark room, but when you turn on the light, it pierces the darkness. So you can use a flashlight and sort of pierce it, or you can turn on, like, your LED light, and you could seemingly disperse it. You know what I mean? So if you use light and dark in terms of good and evil, which I don't really want to do that, but if, for instance, you did that, then I still think that there is a balance in each and every. We all have the capacity to go either way. We could, somebody is like, Mr. or Miss, Goody Two Shoes, and then they snap one day and they become a mass murderer. Well, there you go. You know what I mean? So I don't know if that answers. I don't know if that answers the question that he as he asked it. But I believe in the duality. I believe that we all are dual in our dualistic in who we are. We were created that way. I think the main thing about beings is that we were taught to look outside of ourselves for our saviors and our assistants and so forth. And there is even the text that we take, those, we think that we're following, will tell you things like the greater one lives on the inside, the most high, lives on the inside of you. And so if that greater one is on the inside, why am I looking out? Why am I looking without? And what we've forgotten is that the most high, the fall of the fall, if you will, in my mind, is when the most high wraps itself in flesh and allows itself to be born in an earthen vessel. That is the fall. That is the, and having an experience, and having 8 billion experiences, what I mean, about whatever 7 billion, however many folks are on the planet, having experience, and the one most high experiencing itself in billions of ways, and all only to know that at some point those so-called points of light will come back to source. That's what I believe. And I believe what we've been taught is to fear. Somebody said, and I was listening to, and this is not my saying, and I can't tell you who said it, but I'll just say someone else said this, that the reason why we can't live fully is because we're too afraid of dying. And, because the fear of death has been, so indelibly ingrained in us, people don't know how to fully live because they have the fear of when it's not going to be, when it's over. And if we could get people to realize that it's never over, it's like going into another room, what I mean, and closing the door, but you're on the other side of that door. You're in another, dimension, if you will. And the fear, I mean, my only sister, for instance, had an experience probably in the, I don't know, it was the 70s, 80s maybe, where she had a near-death experience. And my sister, who is now incapacitated, my younger sister, when this happened, she talked to me about her experience of crossing over. And what she said was, and she was a very intelligent person. She was at the time she was an electric what was she, some kind of engineer with Hughes Aircraft out in El Segundo, California. And so she said, sis, she said, I saw everything that I ever did. You know how they said you're going to have your life flashes before you. And she said, I saw everything that I ever did and she said, especially when I did something that was negative to someone. And she said, what I felt was what they felt, but I felt it intensified. Now, it wasn't so much that it was a punishment as much as you got to feel what you inflicted on, this person and that person. And she said, when she finished going through all of these, emotions and so forth, she said she started thinking about the family and so forth, because the place where she was, it was that, she didn't say she saw God or anything, but she saw stuff. So she said, she was thinking about family back here and how horrible or how terrible it would be for the family to find out that she died. Right. And so they asked her if she wanted to come back. And she said she wanted to come back. So she said in her coming back, she said it was like going through dimensions, like very, as she was whirling downwards, she was going through each, she could feel like she was moving through different dimensions. The sounds were different, the energies were different. And then finally she got back to her body that was lifeless at the time, and she went in through the top of her head. And she said it was like trying to smush, if you would try to smush a tomato in the top of a ketchup bottle, that her spirit was so vast outside of the body that coming back in, it was almost having to be, she was plunged back into from the top of her head. And after that, for years, my sister couldn't touch anything electronic. She shorted car batteries. She never wore a watch anymore. Wherever she was in that experience, she came back with an electromagnetic sort of energy that anything electric would short out.
Wow.
And so the experience, she said it was not that she didn't like where she was. It was that she felt like we wouldn't be able to handle the fact that she had left. And so, a lot of times she would tell me, she said, it's everything I can do to stay in my body. Because I think once you've gotten out and you've gotten out with awareness and you come back, you're going to like, I don't want to go back there. And we come back, I guess, sometimes for people, for children, loved ones, and so forth. But the point I'm trying to make, it is the fear that has been ingrained in us. And we don't have a problem looking at a small child and saying, that's an old soul. Well, how can it be an old soul if we only live once? And so the point is, we got to stop being afraid of dying and start living. We got to not be so afraid of this disease that's out here, this virus, so to speak, or whatever else comes down the pike, and realize that the will to live belongs to each and every one of us. As you can succumb to a word. How many people have gone to the hospital or doctor and they say, you got cancer, and within no time they're gone? But would they have been gone so quick if nobody ever told them that they had this thing, which we already have now been trained to believe that the inevitability is you're gonna die?
Exactly. They say that life is right outside the box or the circle of fear. You're gonna contain yourself if you don't kind of step out of your comfort zone and try to expand your wings. And that's really a big part of life, challenging yourself, stepping outside of what you think of yourself, what you can accomplish, what you've been told that you can't accomplish, and just enjoy the ride. A lot of time there's an expectation on the result, which is why we get so disappointed and we feel such a way about what's going on. How about just trying it? How about just doing it? This may work for me. Let me try it. I'm gonna just try it just because I've been told that I can't do it, or I thought that I couldn't do it. Let me just see what happens with that. Either it's going to work, great. If it doesn't work, you still learn something out the process. So it's important to really spread your wings so that you can feel like you're actually out here living a high vibrational life, you know, one where you're able to learn and create and be and live and love.
You are so right. Now, from a standpoint of somebody listening who may be interested, I mean, is the field, and now I'm switching gears a little bit, is the field of acting and all that, is that still, given all that's going on? I mean, in terms of like you're an independent film producer, um, is there still opportunities, I guess, for people to who may not be in a city like New York, but have this feeling like, hey, I'm a comedian, or I'm a good actor. I've always been, I've acted in the school plays, or I know I could do this. I want to do this, but it seems like everything's shut down now. And the likelihood is, I don't know. Do you think Hollywood is coming back or what? I call it
No,
Hollywood.
absolutely not. It's gone, and it's going to stay because the energies in the world is different now. So they can't operate the way that they once was because the energies are very different now. Hollywood is over. You are the new Hollywood. If you are a creator, if you're an artist, the world is looking for innovators. No matter what scale you're on, you could be the next whatever have you that's going to be the standard or the norm for society moving forward. Do your films on an independent level. Like, you don't know what's going to come from that. You could reach a certain well, first of all, success is measured by you as the individual, but you can exceed your wildest beliefs based on just taking that step. So there's still streaming outlets. Um, I don't personally like waiting for anyone. So when I'm ready to do my projects, I do them. I put my own money up. I finance my projects. Um, I like being able to have the creative control of creating something that I feel is going to help inspire society. I was once someone very scared, waiting for the OGs in my neighborhood to do it. No, let me not kick it, to these shorties out here. Let me let the OGs do it. It looks better if the OGs do it. And I found myself waiting and waiting, and then I realized they wasn't going to do it. So who am I to not step out and do it? And then the OG started coming to me saying, I salute you for what you out here doing. So it's really about taking a step for you to be what it is that you want to see. I'm not concerned with Hollywood. Some of those people are going to realize they don't have the same avenue that they used to have and get down to lay down. So it's really about you as a creator doing it yourself. Don't wait, because at the very least, you'll surprise yourself and accomplish something that you didn't necessarily think that you could. And you don't know what type of effect that has on yourself. It's such a gratifying feeling to know that you actually stepped out to do something that you was afraid of, and you actually did it. And not only does it have a healing effect on yourself as an individual, but there's other people out there that resonate with the energy that you're sharing with the world from your creative aspect, and they're actually inspired to do something for themselves, or they're actually able to get something from it. Like, this brother or this sister, their message was talking to me. I know they don't know me, but that message was absolutely for me. And let me step it out here and get out here and do something. So Hollywood is definitely not returning the way we know it to be at all. They're done. But this is the opportunity for you as a creative being and as any kind of artist to get out here and do it your way. The internet is here. Do your projects the way you foresee it and create and put it out there. And that's it. And that's where the magic happens. The action needs to happen. So this is the time more than ever to believe in yourself and in your projects, and be proud of what you created. Never mind the numbers on YouTube, or never mind how many people's telling you did a great job. Know that you as an individual, as a creator, did a good job. And that's all that matters. Like, your opinion of yourself and what you put out is what matters first.
Thank you. Those are great words of wisdom and advice for anybody who is thinking, and particularly people who are now maybe they for the last several months they haven't either they're they're getting the unemployment and then they cut the 600 off and now they're back to 190 or 300 or whatever, just not enough to make it. But yet what people don't realize that within themselves is we have been all along the currency, the real currency has been our talent and our abilities, our equity, our ingenuity, our intelligence, our brawn, our brain. Even though they wanted to tell us to the contrary, it has been on our backs that this nation has been built. And so people have within them even cellular memory, DNA memory, the ability. Greatness is within each and every one of us. I believe it is in our DNA. And I think when when a person gets to a certain state where they're not knowing, bills are coming in, they're not knowing how they're going to make ends meet and all of that stuff. I mean, I could see it being depressive. I could see it being depressing, but I think this is the time to become even more creative. This is the time to say, what was it? That commercial is like, what do you have in your wallet? Well, basically, it's what did you bring? When you came, what gifts, what talents did you bring that you've had locked away all of these years because you traded who you were for a job? You wanted a 9 to 5 and you tucked away your gifts and ability, those things that creative stuff that you did as a child, and you didn't know that there was any value in it. But yes, somebody's looking for that. Somebody needs your skills. Somebody needs your will. I'm great at coming up with, I create memes. I create marketing stuff for people. I've always been able to do that. And it was just something that I'm a writer. So I like doing stuff like that. But if I needed to do so, I could turn what I do into a marketing business and start helping people who are now trying to market what they do. So I'm just saying, people are listening and have talent that they've tucked it away. It was something they did when they were a kid. Get the paintbrush out again and paint, you know what I mean? Get your paper or get your computer and write. Excuse me. But don't sit there and think that you're going to that somebody's going to hand you something on a silver platter. The platters are empty unless you fill them yourself now.
That's a fact. That's
Excuse me. And you're going to have to fill it with what you've already got. Most of the time we've got something and we don't even know it's of value to somebody else.
That's right. The ball is in your court. The keys. Get back behind the driver's side. You know what I mean? And start steering your own course and really try to let people define who it is that you are and whether you're successful or what you're not doing good. Simply do what you like to do. Like after a certain point in time, people will tell you what you shouldn't be doing. Oh, you play video games? Oh, you watch cartoons? You do that? Like, if that's what makes you feel good, why should you not do that? You know what I mean? Like, spirit is thanking you. If that's whatever it is that you into, if it makes you feel good, that's when you know it's right. You know what I mean? Like, if you feel good about doing it, you on to something. Like, it's really that simple. So I don't want to say judge yourself, but be behind the driver's seat of your life and do what feels good according to you, not according to someone else's opinion of what you should be doing. And that's just been going on for way too long.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I'm looking at some of the comments. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Nathan Jacobs said the destination is important, but the journey is what determines who we will be when we get there. I believe the darkness cannot exist where true light forces don't want us to exist where true light is. Forces don't want us to know that. That's true. Let me see what else is saying. Very insightful view. Thank you, Sister Fariel. So true, Brother David. So I know you don't have your computer up, so you're not seeing these. Deborah Smith says, Dr. G and David, thank you for the encouragement and wisdom. Appreciate that. We got some Islams here. Thank you, Dr. G and Brother David, for the motivational, insightful broadcast. Appreciate you both. We appreciate the opportunity to present it to you. I mean, we kind of talk like this. My I'm in a position where I get to talk to great people like yourself on a regular basis, and so excuse me, folks that may not normally get put out in front of the public because of, well, no, maybe you're on social media, but you're not doing this, that, and the third all the time to put yourself out there. But when I hear something, when there's a spark or something, I say, you know what you said is it's so significant. I know that if it touched me, it'll touch somebody else. And so I love getting people like yourself. And, we've had long, lengthy conversations, very, deep and metaphysical conversations. And I said, we've got to do this on Office Hours with Dr. G, because that's what when I think of Office Hours with Dr. G, I think of it being a place where people who are listening, who tune in, can get, not everybody all the time, but you get just what the doctor, and I'm talking about the internal doctor, ordered for you, be it for your mind, your body, or your soul, your spirit. Let what comes through, these sessions hopefully be healing and informative to people. I mean, it's a little bit different than, the Friday night, which still is healing, because if you're getting truth, it should help you. But this is more broad. This is more, we cover topics that may not necessarily deal with nationality, but they deal with who we are at our core. And I keep trying to remind people, we've been so many people. This is this incarnation. But your soul is old. Your soul has been through many things. That's why you're able to feel the way. Sometimes, they say sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't. The old commercial with Almond Joy, but you feel different ways because your soul is so ancient and has had so many experiences. Different things will touch you in different ways. And so if all you're getting is the same thing over and over again, you're not stimulating or fulfilling the broadness of who you are. And when I say who you are, I'm talking about your ancient self, your what's in your cellular memory, in your DNA, who you've been. Sometimes something will speak to something someone you were 3 lifetimes ago, but it resonates with you because you hear it and it reminds you. And that's what I've always wanted to do is, I tell people, I'm not a teacher. I'm a reminder of things forgotten. I can't teach anybody anything, but I want to be able to remind people of the things that they once did and they've now forgotten. And this has been a great show. I want you to know that you are an inspiration to me.
Thank you.
I have the pleasure and honor of have met. Didn't meet you all on the same day, but to have met 2 actor, director, producers who are Moors, who now you 2 know who each other are. And I'm hoping that eventually, there might even be a collaboration there. Just because, it's because you're a giving person and both of you are. And it's just synchronistic how the universe just kind of brings things together in such a way that this show came about. And even though, the techno demons tried to get involved, it wouldn't let you get on your computer. I am grateful for the cell phone, even though it took you off a couple of times, but here we are at 1 minute before the end of the show. Of course, we can go longer, but we can wrap up. And we got through the whole 2 hours. I want you to, if you have anything, whatever you want to close out with, any advice to those who are listening. I know you gave advice about, you could actually, with what's happening with Hollywood and so forth, and being yourself. But any last words you want to share And and I never say this. I forget to tell them. I forget to tell people to share, click like, and all that. But will you guys at least like? Please give me a thumbs up. I always get. It's funny. I get there's 2 thumbs down. I get on every show. It's every show. It's I get 2 thumbs down, and I'm thinking, why do they keep coming week after week just to give me just these two thumbs down? It's like, who is this? These 2 people, who are they? Or is it the same person with 2 different accounts? But if you give us a thumbs up, I'd appreciate it. And give us some last words, David, aka Brooklyn Indigo. Where did that come from? I never asked you that. Or did you tell us?
Brooklyn born, like I said, East New York all day. And the Brooklyn aspect, is obvious, but the indigo aspect of it isn't. Like I said, I went through many phases in my life experience, doing some things I'm not proud of in a very tough area just to survive. You know what I mean? And coming into my own awareness at the proper time to know why I was really here, and that it was confirmed because I was following my intuition that I was listening to inside, and my life decided to change based on me following what I felt like I was passionate about and what was true and real to me, which in my opinion is partial definition of indigo. So I kind of just put it together and decided to be the reflection of my true self, i.e. that name. So that's where the name Brooklyn Indigo came in. And as far as last remarks, first and foremost, I just want to thank everybody who's tapping in with us right now, whether it be right now or even on the replay. You could have decided to been anywhere else in the world. The biggest and best commodity that we all have is our time and attention to something. And y'all decided to be here locking in with us. So I greatly appreciate that. I'm just speaking from my authentic heart. I'm not a pro of anything. I'm just a person that's walking on my path with my own individual beliefs and thoughts, and I'm not afraid to share them. I'm not afraid to say what I'm good at and what I'm not so good at. And I don't care who thinks what about that. And that's where freedom is. So I would really just encourage anyone out there to say to themselves, do I really like what I'm doing? And no, I may not know how everything is going to work out, but let me try to start taking steps in the direction of what makes me feel good and what I'm passionate about. And you'll be surprised how many doors open up for you and how many people meet you halfway to take you to another door that you need to be at so that you can get to where it is that you need to get. The universal energy is like water flowing downstream. If you paddling upstream trying to do what you want to do, you going nowhere fast. But if you just decide to be like, yeah, my arms is cramping, I'm tired, I'm gonna just flow with the stream, you start picking up force and you start moving. So imagine if you're putting that to moving in a direction of what it is that you really want to be. Like, forget about it, it's over. So just do what you're passionate about and believe in yourself, and the rest is history.
I think that's great. I'm going through the hair stuff right now and turn my locks are going sideways and I see them and it's distracting me and everybody else is watching probably, but don't mind me, y'all. Somebody says, Moses Eloy says, make a movie about the Moors in Spain. Make a movie about the Moors in a Mexum. Matter of fact, about us here. But hey, that's something that you might be able to do, right? After you do your documentary. And we need to support
That's
that.
Sure, large story to tell for sure, but it should be done, and it should be done in different perspectives. One person shouldn't do it. Everybody tells their own individual story, and you can get something from everything because it's about perspective. Dr. G may have a perspective on one thing, and I may have another, but someone listening can take both of those perspectives and get something solid from those point of views, and that's really what it's about. So that definitely should come because it's a story that absolutely need to be told with all of the information in it, because the lies out here is next level for sure.
Yeah, we have to undo the damage done by the Roots saga with some truth. But we thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Nadine Figueroa Bay and Nathan Jacobs and each and every one of you, Ferriel L, Sister Deborah, Prometheus L. Thank you. Thank you, EB. Thank you all. Please share the link with this. And like you said, if you want to get in touch with Brother David Holley, his email is here, capriceholly@gmail.com. On Facebook, he's Brooklyn Indigo. I didn't get his Instagram if he's on there, but you want Instagram?
Instagram is _ Brooklyn Indigo. Facebook is Brooklyn Indigo. My email is below. Any projects that I have coming up, the best way to stay informed is to tap into the Instagram. I post and promote a lot. Like I said, I'm getting ready to film a very inspiring documentary just about my life and a few other people's lives that's in performing arts world, the music world, things of that nature, and really talking about their journey from where they started to get where it is that they're at. So all my social medias are a good way to kind of stay tapped in and informed on what it is that I have going on. And I appreciate everybody. Very grateful to be here. Salute.
Again, that's Instagram is _ Brooklyn Indigo.
Yes, correct.
Okay, _ Brooklyn. Okay, listen, thank you so much. And I know we'll talk again. But thank you for an inspiring broadcast. And we'll have you back. Maybe once your project is done, and we'll know where it is and how we can tap in and so forth, and even how we can support, because we need to start supporting each other when we start to do things that we are producing. So again, I want to say thank you so much for coming on, and thank you, each and every one of you, for tuning in. And next week, we just gonna do it again. We're gonna do it again. And I don't know. I haven't put this up for a while, but I'm looking for wonderful people to be on the show. So somebody out there who might be watching might be that person, and maybe it's you. But until next week, this is Dr. G for Office Hours with Dr. G. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you.
Peace. Dr. G. Really? Who's she? Yeah, that's me. 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 Dr. G. Yeah, that's me. Dr. G. Really? Who's she? Yeah, that's me.